Alright, so we're going to be doing final review part 2. So on the first part of this problem, it's asking us to find all the possible values of the dependent variable. Remember, that just stands for the y values. Okay, so we only have y values from here. So that's 0 to 4,000. So the first answer would be 0, the next one would be 4,000. Next part is asking us when is the water level increasing, or otherwise when do you have a positive slope. So the first part's asking us when we have a positive slope. We see from this interval to this very first one, it's when it's increasing, when we have a positive slope. So that's going to be our increasing time. And if we could look, each one of these looks like it's 25, 25, 50, 75, 100, 125. So it's 25 hours. And then when is it decreasing? It looks like it's decreasing from here to there. That's where we see our negative slope. And we see it goes through two boxes, or through two of these lines. So that's going to be 50 hours that it's decreasing. Next question asks us how many gallons are in the water after 110 hours. So here we have 25, 50, 75, 100. So right around here is where it's 110. If we see where it hits right there. So we just need to figure out what that value is, and that looks like it's 3,000 there. So the first problem. The second one asks us to evaluate the polynomial for the given for x equaling 1 and x equaling 2. So all we're going to do is replace x with negative 1 the first time. You can put it in your calculator just like that. You should get a nice solution here. We do, it should be negative 4 times negative 1, just plus 7. And we know negative times negative is a positive. We get 4 plus 7, which will give us a nice solution of 11. Once again, we do it again. This time it's telling us x is 2. And then all we're going to do is replace x with 2. And once again, like I said, this is a nice problem you can just put in your calculator. We work this problem out. We get negative 4 times 8 plus 7 times 4. We know negative 4 times 8 is negative 32. 7 times 4 is 28. And when we work that part out, we should get a nice solution of negative 4. Once again, I'm showing you the steps here, but this is a nice problem that you can just go ahead and put in your calculator if you'd like. The next problem tells us to write an equation of the line containing the given point, and the key term I want to make sure you guys see is perpendicular, something that people miss all the time. So the first thing we need to do is just find our slope. So how do we find the slope? All we do is just get y by itself. So we'll first subtract 3x from both sides. Subtracting 3x from both sides, we'll see that our x's here, that this will cancel. We'll be left with 7y equals negative 3x plus 6. And then to get y by itself, we just divide each part by 7. That way our 7's cancel. We'll be left with 7 equals negative 3 over 7x plus 6 over 7. So that's the first thing we did. Second thing we're going to do now is identify our slope. Because this slope's negative and we want it to be perpendicular, it's going to be the opposite and the reciprocal. So our new slope will be 7 over 3. And the point that is given to us is a very nice point. This is our y-intercept. So then all we have to do is just put this into our slope-intercept form equation, which is y equals mx plus b. We know our m now, 7 over 3x, and we know our b. b, remember, stands for our y-intercept, and we know the y-intercept, so it's just 8. So that is our answer for number 3. Number 4, they want us to graph the inequality. Remember, once we have y by itself, it's nice and easy. So all we have to do is get y by itself. So let's move this x. How do we do that? Subtract x from both sides. So we got y to be less than or equal to negative x plus 6. But remember, we could rewrite this as negative 1 over 1. That way we could see what our rise and our run is. So we start at 6, and now we're just going to go down 1 over 1. And it's going to be solid because of our inequality sign. So our line is going to end up looking something like that. Now, remember, it's an inequality, which means we must shade. So now, let's see, this was the first thing. So now what we're going to do is pick a test point. A nice easy one is just 0, 0. So let's just plug that into our inequality and see if this is true or not. We see this, and this is true. Our test point was right there, so because it's true, this is the side we're going to be shading. Alright, let's go to number 5. Number 5 tells us the function h described by h of x equals 2.75x plus 7.14 can be used to predict the height in centimeters of a woman whose humerus is x centimeters long. They want us to predict the height of a woman whose humerus is 38 centimeters long. So all we're going to do here is just replace x with 38. Nothing more. Don't let this word problem confuse you. All we're going to do is just replace x with the given number that they give us. Here in this problem, they gave us 38. We just input this in the calculator and work this out. And we should get a nice solution of 175.98. So a very nice problem here. The next one, they want us to write an equation in y equals mx plus b. And what do they tell us here? Let's just move this a little. They tell us that this person is traveling 40 miles per hour. Remember, another word for slope is just rate. And they're talking about a person driving 40 miles an hour, and that's rate. So all we're going to do in here is just put in the number 40. Okay, so just put in 40 there, so that should just be y equals 40x. The next part says what are the 3 ordered pairs when x is 0, 5, and 10. And they tell us to separate them by commas. So we're going to have 3 solutions here. We're going to look for y when x is 0, look for y when x is 5, and then we're also going to look for y when x is 10. Make sure you put those commas just like I did there. So your equation is y equals 40x. So first we do it when x is 0. Y equals 40 times 0. Y is 0, so that's 1. Next, x is 5. So we have y equals 40 times 5. We get that to be 200. Then the last one tells us that x is 10. We do it one more time. Y equals 40 times 10. And we'll get y to be 400. So that will go right there. So that right there is our answer. Make sure you separate it with commas there. Next one says graph the line growing through the points -3 and 5 with the slope 0. Remember, anytime the slope is 0, just a nice horizontal line. Any line at all. Okay? So here they're saying it's going through -3, 5. So let's just identify that point. -3 and 5. I'm sorry, -3 and 5 is right there. Slope 0. Make sure it goes through that point there. They want us to write an equivalent expression with only positive exponents. So we learned in order to make an exponent positive, all we have to do is just put it in the opposite. Here's in the top, we just put it in the bottom. So for this problem here, keep in mind only this is negative, not the x. So we're only going to put the y to the second on the bottom and keep the x to the fourth on the top there. This one, they want us to simplify. Be very careful with this one, okay? Take your time. It could be a nice, easy problem, but I see people rush it. The number in front of this b is negative 1. So this is just negative 1 to the second. Then we got b to the second. Then we got c to the third to the second. D to the fourth to the second. Negative 5. We're looking at the next part. To the fourth. C squared to the fourth. And d to the fourth. Well, negative 1 times negative 1 is just negative 1 times, here we get b squared. Remember, we're just multiplying everything. Remember, here we multiply the exponents. We're multiplying. So that's to the sixth. Once again, there, we're going to multiply. And that's to the 8. 4 times 2 is to the 8th. And then we have, make sure you put this in parentheses. Always put this and that in parentheses. That way you don't get mixed up. That should be a positive 625 times, once again, just multiply those exponents. We get c to the 8th. That would just be times d to the 4th. See, all of this is multiplication. Well, now we do negative 1 times 625. That's negative 625. We only have one b, so we're just going to put that down. Remember, we're multiplying, so we do c to the 6th times c to the 8th. We're just summing those exponents, right? So 6 plus 8, we get 14. Then once again, our d. We have two d's. We just add those exponents, and we get d to the 12th. So our solution here looks like it is going to be